Hi everybody, Justin Egresitz again, an ACTE 651 Science Curriculum and Reform. So this is my in-depth review of the SciGirl strategies, gender equitable teaching practices in career and technical education pathways for high school girls. Go back one here. Oh, go back several. Where are we at here? Okay, so project contact information. So SciGirlsConnect.org is the website. The principal investigator is Rita Carl with Twin Cities Public Television. So they did a lot of the production, and it's based on the work of the featured instructor who I thought was the most important to this assignment is Dr. Barbara Billington. So there's the contact information for Dr. Billington, and that is the person whom I reached out to for the other part of this. So the summary. So what this project does is it provides Minnesota's high school CTE teachers and counselors with gender equitable and culturally responsive strategies through multimedia projects. So those multimedia projects include activity guides that focus on different sciences. There's a physical science, biology. There's also design thinking and engineering. There's a couple of those. There's even one on just general health, which I think is very important. And it just gives different activities and pointers specifically for young women at the high school level as to how to engage them. They also do a SciGirl Snapshots video series. So it's a 3 to 5 minute set of videos designed to help educators learn how to engage young women in STEM opportunities and how to keep them there once you have them engaged, because they said earlier in the video on the STEM Showcase website that interest is what declines, not their ability to. It's interest and self-efficacy is what declines with women in STEM as they age up through education systems. So they're designed to help combat that a little bit. And then there's the SciGirl 7 strategies. So that's Dr. Billington's work, and it was sort of the basis for the second portion of research that led to the multimedia projects. It basically just goes through the what and the why of women in STEM at that level. So very important stuff. So the alignments, how this aligns with how students learn. So it addresses what students already know. So if you go into the activity guides, it starts out like, for example, there's one where the students build a board game. So it addresses what they already know by having them play and then break down each component of what they play into like what makes it a game. So the dynamics, the pieces, the mechanics of the game, all that stuff. So they're kind of addressing, and that's just one example of one activity of how they address what students already know. And then it provides discrete facts and larger conceptual frameworks. So it goes through, in at least the engineering one, it goes through the design process. So you go through each step of the design process and you learn each step of the design process, but it's then applied to make a larger framework. And through that framework, there's an authentic process of inquiry, which is the use of the framework to create something, in this case, a board game. And that leads to reflection and metacognitive development, because in the design process, there's a redesign portion where you test, and then you look at the results of those testings, and then you adjust your solution to the real-world problem, in this case, of creating a board game. So you're not only looking at what you've created, but how you thought about what you created, and how to fix that. And you're given feedback from your instructor, your peers, however that's set up. So alignments to my STEM perspective. Each content area is used to apply the learning, is used together to apply the learning, not as discrete siloed parts. So in designing the board game, in the example that I give you guys, they're using math to make to measure out the spaces of the board game, engineering to create the board and to create the spaces, science, it could be which concept it's on. So if you're talking about a science concept, then that's what the board game is based on. Engineering, math, it's all that stuff. So, but they're all applied together. They're not applied as discrete parts. And that's where I think STEM is most effective, when you have all of these things working in concert to create something, a larger educational opportunity. So evidence of correspondence. I actually reached out to Dr. Billington via email to see if she knew anything, or if she had any strategies for the collegiate level. I plan on pursuing a terminal degree in STEM education, and I would like to actually be a technology and engineering professor at this university one day if I can make that happen. And one of the things that I think is most important, and a goal of mine, is to find ways to facilitate the growth of the minority populations in my field. We are a bunch of old white dudes, if I'm being honest, in my field, and we need a diversity boost. So what I'm looking for is strategies to bring in and engage and keep these underrepresented populations in my profession. So I asked Dr. Billington if she had any specific strategies for the collegiate level, so that I could not only use them for my own personal use, but I also plan on working in the state and national associations in my career, so that I could pass on what I've learned and these strategies. So, in the future, and then today, share the resources with the faculty here at Millersville who would find it germane, and my peers who are working as teachers, so that they can begin to push these students who have these natural dispositions towards STEM-related fields and help them get to where they think they should be. So, explanation why I chose this project. Because, like I said, engaging women in STEM fields is of great importance. So not only is it important because of a great need of diversity, so if we're talking, that's more for the benefit of the content area, but if we're talking about benefits to society and to the individual, there are a lot of job opportunities in STEM-related fields, and there are people who have natural dispositions and a great interest in these fields. So if we can kind of get everyone on the same wavelength, I think that's important, and getting them where they need to be, or where they can do the most good, and where they're interested and they can have long and fulfilling careers. So if we can engage and get them in there, I think that's important. So that's part of why I chose this project. Tech ed is in great need of diversity. Like I said, if I'm being honest, it's filled with old white men. And as a future old white man, I realize that my perspective on everything isn't the only one. And I feel that we need to continue to gain more and more and diversify our population if we want to be relevant and continue to be a part of education, because I find tech ed to be very important, and I think we need more voices to get into that as well. So how does this inform my teaching and learning? So it provides me strategies for engaging young women in STEM opportunities. Working at the collegiate level doesn't mean you just work with collegiate level students. You also, through different means than obviously being in a classroom every day, you can work with teachers or bring them in for camps. So different ways to engage young women in STEM opportunities. So that's one thing that provides. And some of the strategies and the activities that they have is actually very similar to stuff we do here in our classes in the tech ed department anyway. So they're very relevant even to just developing curriculum here. And it also provides me a pathway to more learning opportunities to further inform my perspective and career path. Like I said, I have a career path in mind, and this provides me another way to engage with different groups and to understand their perspective and to try and bolster those groups. I understand my status, and I would like to be able to use it as a platform for other people and be able to engage those people in what I believe is very relevant and very useful content. So, hope you all had a very good holiday season and that everything's going well for you. Thank you.